You can't escape your past. It follows you to the end. But when that end comes, there is a way to welcome it with peace and without regret. Let me show you how, through the story of a character that you may or may not know, Zack Fair from Final Fantasy VII. Zack is a young, upbeat, and somewhat naive member of Soldier, the military force of the governing organization of Final Fantasy VII's world, Shinra. Zack's optimistic, helpful, and empathetic nature brought about a lot of beautiful things in his past. The respect of his comrades, the love of a woman in Aerith, or even his ranking up in Soldier. Just like every one of us, his past is also filled with hardships, and the harsh realities of the world dawn on him through time. He has to mercy kill his best friend and mentor due to Shinra's experiments that rendered him suicidal. His childhood hero goes mad and tries to kill him. Hell, he's even captured and experimented on by Shinra themselves because he had seen too much and became a liability. A path full of betrayals, mistakes, and sorrow. Does that sound familiar? But the thing about Zack here is that he never gives up his optimism. Like, how? After all this pain, it might be somewhat in his nature, but he's not a robot. What's his secret to stay positive like that in the most dire of times? As you guessed it, Zack is fundamentally a good person at heart, and in his intentions. He cares about others, tries to follow a code of honor as well as he can, and often puts himself second. But don't get it twisted. He might have all the best intentions. In his naivety, he was still a member of an oppressive, violent, and totalitarian governing force, even if he didn't realize it. He has fought in wars in which he was definitely on the side of the oppressor. Part of Zack's journey is realizing what Shinra really is and the horrors that he has been a part of. It's also indirectly, especially through Zack's loving nature, about atonement. But despite these atoning actions, there's a truth that remains ever still. You can't escape your past. The first shot of this scene, without any music, is as cold as can be. It brutally cuts from a white screen. We're looking directly through the barrel of a gun, like simple. No fantasy here. But it's enough for us to understand the gravity of what is happening. Of course, this gravity amplifies as the camera steps back and we realize it's a whole army that is stationed and ready to fire. And in steps familiar boots at the front of the camera. We know it's Zack coming in, but think about it. In the first shot where we see the barrel of the gun, it's not Zack's point of view. The position of the camera and the closeness to the gun makes it that it targets you directly. Knock knock, it's your past coming to shoot you down. Or maybe it's asking you to like this video and subscribe if you enjoy what I do. Go figure. But even though you're targeted here, the focus eventually goes back to Zack.
Boy, oh boy. The price of freedom is steep.
This sentence sums up today's theme perfectly. Zack has atoned in many ways. As we've seen before, he's a great guy. But there is still one thing that he needs to do before he's truly free. He needs to face judgment for his past deeds. And even there, as the end draws closer, there's this weird mix on his face. First melancholy in his eyes, but ultimately optimism with a smile. Yes, still now.
Embrace your dreams. And whatever happens, protect your honor.
These words are very familiar to Final Fantasy VII players. It's Angeal, Zack's mentor's motto that Zack inherited from him. I don't know about you, this motto seems very idealistic to me. Specifically the dream part, but tell me in the comments how you feel about it. That interests me. I love this moment because it feels like a close-up shot, shutting down everything around him, of Zack making his peace before his final stand. But what brings him that peace? Hold on, we're getting there. But as he made that peace, the fight begins. There are a couple of very powerful emotional elements in this fight. The first is that as the fight begins, so does the music, and it's quite the surprise. The music starts with a very soft, melancholic violin melody. The contrast with the literal war that is happening hits you immediately, if it didn't already. This is the end. It's a warrior's last goodbye. Actually, the music is even called The Price of Freedom. Quite fitting for today's theme. What's even more brilliant is the fact that the game uses its own mechanics to serve an emotional purpose. In fact, the fight lasts for as long as you can hold, but you can't win. You could last for hours trying to survive in this fight that gets increasingly harder and harder. The army eventually takes you down in an excruciatingly slow and powerless fashion. You can't escape your past. Also, as the fight goes on, the pachinko machine that was used as a gameplay tool for the game is used in a clever way. This pachinko machine represents Zack's emotional state. Sometimes the faces of Zack's close ones on the machine align, and you get a bonus in combat. But this time, when the faces align, Zack gains a last memory of his loved ones before the faces go white, as if he was slowly dying and forgetting about them one by one. It starts with the one least close to him until the very end, as Zack is on the ground bleeding out, where he offers his most heartbreaking sacrifice. He gives up his final memory of Aerith, the woman he loves. Yes, it hurts. And it hurts even more when Cloud, his friend, sees Zack bleeding out in the rain, helplessly. And yet, even then, Zack goes out with a smile. And we're finally presented to the key of this peace, at death's door, even with a past filled with hardships. This sword. This sword was Zack's mentor's sword. It was a symbol of honor that was passed on to our protagonist when his mentor died. But as Zack puts it himself, it's not just a symbol of honor and dreams. It's more than that. It's about purpose. This sword represents the will that Zack inherited from his mentor Angel, a vow of protection, a strong will to help, but also a calling to pass on his mentor's will to his living legacy, Cloud, the brother he loved and protected until the very end. A will that Zack himself lived by. He protected Cloud following the experiments they endured and dragged him across the earth for safety. He refused as much as he can to harm his former co-workers despite the danger he was in. He even took his time as a fugitive to go and save the main antagonist of the game, because this antagonist was his mentor's friend and he wanted to live up to his mentor's legacy. He had a purpose and he walked the path of his purpose every day with every fibers of his being. And this is how he's now allowed to join the liberating skies. He faced the punishments for his past misdeeds, and now he finally realized his dream. He became a hero. If not to the people of Final Fantasy VII's world, at least to us, the players and viewers. This is how we find peace. We find what resonates within us as our purpose, what gives meaning to our lives, and we try as much as we can to enact that will through our actions and walk the path as much as we can. So yes, you can't escape your past, but it's okay. For if you live by and for your purpose, you will welcome your past with a mind at peace.